Yom Chamishi, Shabbos Parshas Mishpatim. Rosh Chodesh Adar. Rosh Chodesh Adar. We have a problem in our club, in our oilam. We have a problem. You're supposed to drink till you don't know the difference between Baruch Madchain or Haman. In our oilam, we're not sure exactly when does Purim stop. We don't make Abdullah after Purim. There's a reason for it. So we didn't make Abdullah last. We somehow hang on to it all year round. Agad's your Purim. That's our shita. All right? Gandik. Anyway. What's there? How's it going? Good to see the Rav. We're here to drink. Some of the best drinkers in town are in our oilam. We pride ourselves. Our oilam knows how to drink. We're not stam guys over here. We're the chshuvim. Do you know that Rabbi Salanta used to drink on Purim? You know, he was under the table, Rabbi Salanta. And you know, Reb Nosson Zatzal told me Salanta was drunk under the table, Shelzafar. You know who he was? A Malach Hashem Tzvakis when he got drunk. When he slept, I knew a Yid. Avram Leib Shore from Chicago. Rabban used to bring him to Lakewood to speak. Yuzeda. Wow. He was delicious. We loved him. He used to come Elul, and when he spoke, we thought we were in Slobodka. He had a Reimamus. And they said Rabban wanted him. He wanted Jalen to see. This is it. He was so gewaldig. Anyway, so he, I heard he has very chashuv einakach. So he, what was I saying already? No, where am I up to? He was Mashamish, Reb Naftali Amsterdam. And in Slobodka, they had to do with the big Bali Musa, Reb Itzel Petterberger, and Naftali Amsterdam. The Altav and Kelm had a yeshiva, but these two, they used to drezach to get from them, from these people. Naftali Amsterdam was a malach. He described them as, you can't describe. Take a look at the picture of Naftali Amsterdam. The fire in his face, it's not shaykh. Kodesh Kadashim. But Pasuk Pumi Begirsav, it was a malach. So, he said, so he's Meshamish. My father, he tells me, was Meshamish B'Sol Salanta. And Pasuk Mishpatim is his yahrzeit. Whatever the real official day is a week ago, but Pasuk Mishpatim is his whole life was Pasuk Mishpatim. It was so medactic and these and yonim. So he saw B'Sol Salanta went to sleep for half an hour in the middle of the day. And he watched his face. And his face was burning with fire. So Salanta's taking a nap. Kleiner kite. So Salanta takes a nap in the middle of the day. You think, you know what? Halavai, you sit and learn your whole life. You could tuaf as much as that nap. So, you know, Rabban Kotler used to shake. Rabbi Yisrael, you know who he was. Rabban said about him, there were Anashir G'dayli Yisrael in his door, and he was bigger than all of them. Rabbi Yisrael Salanta, I'm going to say something here. And he went to Paris. Gadol B'Yisrael, what is he doing in Paris? If he makarv those yidden in Paris to take a trip, he didn't have the jets, the planes to get there. He took a trip, wasn't easy. And Rabbi Yisrael Salanta, but the fact that he went there, I just want to say, I'm not going to get too involved, but I will say about that inyan of let's get out and do something for Klal Yisrael, for sure, at least b'machshava. We'll see what happens. The while I'm going to do mine. There's Reb Aaron for sure, held very stock like that. I made a thorough check with his old Talmidim, one after another. There's no something. There's when and how and who. There's some people that maybe shouldn't hear this. If you're underage, just sit and learn. Don't listen to Mandel's Mishigassen if you're underage. But if you're not underage, maybe there's something that's not pushing. what we could do, but so the Viola we're doing right here. Maybe she'll help us fight it, but that's just her order. So Salanta went to Paris. Went to Kamata, go to Yisrael, go schlepp to Paris to be Makar. Whoever that was Rabbi Shola Kleinakite. Anyway, he went about Bטחון. He said, where the Seichel stops, Bטחון begins. Where the Seichel stops, Bטחון begins. It makes no sense. That's Bטחון. Don't give me it's got to work out, well, if it doesn't, you got all the calculations. Well, they said it's gonna rain. They said it's gonna this. They hold, well, according to the way it's, I'm not the type to go along with the rules. It's not my thing. Some people enjoy not going with the rules. That's the way they are. I once wanted to park backwards. And I asked Reb Chaim help. And Avada, you're supposed to be, and he's supposed to be democratic sort. He does his thing. If a parks the belt, he says, no way. You park the way everybody parks. Be machnia. Navadi gezarach no to the systems. You be normal. Not so easy to be normal. And nowadays, when they read a shidduch, besides being an Ilui and a Masped and a Balmidas, if they say he's normal, that's really interesting. He's actually normal. And nowadays, Pnei Ador Pnei Akelev, that's a tall order. Normal? Ain't kleine guy. Does anybody really hold these normal? Well, let's have a talk. We'll find out exactly what's going on. Nobody, you can't. That's the matzah. The matzah of Dor is chutz b'yazge, you know the matzah. And it's plenty good. They complain about the kids. A lot of people complain, look, the kids, it's terrible. The kids, the way they're acting with this and that. You know what happens? They all grow up. They all steig. They turn out beautiful. In fact, very often, dafke those kids are everyone's worried about. Hey, guess who the Rosh Yeshiva is? You walk into this beautiful Moshe, big Rosh Yeshiva, everybody's eating out of his hands. And he said, that's the Rosh Yeshiva? I remember him as a kid. Oh no, don't give me a break. How did he become the Rosh Yeshiva? And look, he's the most popular, he's the best, he's not shaykh, you know how often that happens? Don't tell the kids about these things. They're going to give you a run for the money. Kids, they'll be mekayim. It's a deraisa. V'yisa mishuga mimara inecha. V'yisa mishuga. You ever hear that? It's a deraisa. I'm joking. Anyway, Rabbi said, Adar, it's Gan Eden Abtachim to be a holy Jew. You can make yourself a little bit Levitic. It's Abyssal Meshuga, It's our religion. Now I'm going to tell you something. David HaMelech danced a little bit inappropriately. We don't know what that means. But there definitely was something not the way you're supposed to do things. Or else his wife, Michal, would not have had it in for him. And she let him have it. She was Tzadikis Gemura that the world never heard of. You know who she was? She wore tefillin. Michal Bashol. She was his favorite. By the way, he loved her. She was called his Egla. That's a sign of Gavaldik. He loved her b'miuchid. She saved his life from her father Shol. She was Meiser Nefesh from Michal Bashol. He didn't just love Michal. You know he loved Yonason? You know what the Malbim says? Do you know what their relationship was? But what's this? What, they love each other? He likes his nose? What's going on here? You know why they liked each other? Because in Bטחון, they're in the same league. David and Yonason. You know what Yonason did? His father's going to Milchama with hundreds of plishtim, kachol asher al sfas hayam. His father's going to war, and Yonason says, wait a minute. We got the Eibush. He takes his arms bearer, Noise Caleb. Let's do the job. What do we have to? Hololim has to be Techad Tzibura. And he and his Noise Caleb went and boom, they knocked off the whole Noise. He was the one that said, Yonason and Shol, Ein Lashem Matzor Loishia Baravi Mamat. He's the author of that statement. With the Eibishter, you need a lot of people. What kind of shigas? That's Yenison. And when Yenison saw David take a slingshot and knock the block off Goliath, and the whole world was shaking from him, we got problems. You have a pea shooter, please? He takes the pea shooter, boom, bye. David HaMelech made a chayzik of him. Goliath, the Plishti, he wasn't stupid either. He was mavatal everybody from Krishna for 40 days. So he knew with Krishna, you win the war. So he stopped them. So that's why he knew Dizmanim. He was a brisker. He was, I don't know, he was Rabbeinu Tam, whatever he was. He knew Dizmanim. And he said, okay, I'm going to stop them from saying Christmas. Every morning he started his whole taram, making fun of the Jews and being mechadef and megadef. Anyway, Goliath, he was a giant and they were petrified of him. He was covered from head to toe with copper. You couldn't kill him. You couldn't, invincible. He was like, what do they call the famous ship that you couldn't sink? That sunk, what? Titanic that went to the garbage can. You couldn't sink him. You couldn't kill him. You know what happened? David HaMelech did. David looked at him. He says, he spoke with such gayus, David, with confidence. He said, and everyone was petrified of him. B'shol HaMelech, Meshuach Hashem, everyone was scared. This Goliath, the place was going azay, and David steps in and says, I'll do the job with such confidence. You gotta see the psukim. I don't have it. It's beautiful. He walks in there. He's starting up with Chedif. He's making fun of Kal Yisrael. You let him get away with that? I'll do a job. 1, 2, 3. Now, he could have taken a spear, but he could have taken a bow and arrow. Do it right. No. Give me that slingshot. David HaMelech. Yeah, what's going on? And he killed him with a slingshot. And Goliath looks at him, what? You're coming with a slingshot? And David said, David looked at him like he's a piece of zero. So I have the Eibishter. V'yeda kolak all my kodesh is Yesheli Kimi Yisrael. You got to see those Heilige. David HaMelech said, the world will see Yesheli Kimi Yisrael. I'll do a job on him. Watch this. And he told him, you know what I'm going to do to you? The animals will be eating your flesh in a few minutes. Now, David never walked into a battlefield in his life. He had no shaykhs. In fact, his big brother said, go home. What are you doing here? You're young. You're not into this. And David walked in. He was never there before. So what's the problem? And then the Chazal saying to Sam, he hit him with the stone. And Goliath was infuriated. You treat me like a dog. You come with me sticks and stones. I'm a hunt. That's exactly what I consider you, a hunt. There's a medrash about, there was a dog involved in his, Orpa. When she went back, whatever it is, whoever knows. He was talking a dog. He's talking. But, that Esther Hamalka called Achashverosh a dog. She called him a dog. It was a taina on her. Hamelech, so she lost her Rocha Kedah, so she said the lion. But why did she called him a lion? It's more mechavedik. When she davened, she had to go into Achashverosh, and she was shaking from it. You know what it is? Rebellion Goldsmith showed me a beautiful diak in Chazal. It says she's a b'tachon, Esther, when she went to Achashverosh that time. B'tachon, and it says she was shaking. What's going on here? And he says, Zaytman from them. You could shake and you still call the b'tachon. You hear that? Kedai. I heard this from Gershon too. He said, if I'm having a b'tachon and I'm shaking all over, am I still a b'tachon? You know what Gershon told me? Natürlich! Of course! Gershon, you're a b'tachon, don't worry. Gershon didn't like tzimtzum. That's not real b'tachon. It's not going to work. He didn't like that whole business. It's working. Yeah, you did it right. No, he used to always tell me, I'll say good, yeah, but I worked b'tachon like this. Don't complicate me. That was Reb Gershon. It's going to work. Yeah, it's good. He was, that was the whole sheet. In the Bali b'tachon, that maybe there's a akpada on me. Maybe it's not going to work. Oh, I did an Averi yesterday. You know what I heard from one of my Rabbeim? Now, don't push it. I don't recommend anybody doing Averis. But he said that the Baal Aver is the only real Baal B'tachon. Because the other guys are B'teich and the Maisim Tovim. I'm B'teich and Shas. I'm B'teich and the Svar. I said yesterday, I'm B'teich, I'm Sojah Chashav Yid. It's not an Hashem. It's good. It's great. But the real B'teich Hashem is the Russia. He has nothing. Rabbi said, please don't look for trouble. But don't mind yourself that you're not a Baal B'tachon because you did anything wrong. No such thing. L'Adam. I have some of my best stories of B'tachon is when I was an all-time low. You hear that? Don't be geiris, Dad. Do tshuva. You better do tshuva. That's a difference. But the thing I'm aiming at, I'm getting. Don't bother me with this. I'm a Te'ah B'Hashem on His goodness, not because I'm a great guy. Te'ah B'Hashem Chovas Machtir. Te'ah B'Hashem Chesed Yisrael Rabbeinu Afilu Rasha Te'ah B'Hashem. They all scream about this, by the way. I have a sefer here called B'tach B'Hashem. It has a likud of 20 different Rishonim and Achreinim and Chazals, maybe more. Come out every one of them. They write 2 pages about B'tachon. Don't worry if you're a Russia. They all say the same thing. Right away they jump on that. Because your whole B'tachon is totally, you're going to look down on yourself, you're going to lose it. You got to hold, I'm going to make it no matter what. If you hold you're not roi, that's exactly why you're not roi. You're a paisik on yourself. If you hold, do you know what happened recently? Somebody calls me up who did something that really, l'chol was not right. Shenemo. That even the average bum doesn't do. He did something. At least, Now he's not, he fell in. And Grada, he is in the Ruchniistic world, he does a lot. He's a great person. And he told me, I feel like a bum. I feel like a this. I know I'm not worth a penny. Whatever. He has a lot of support. He's not a guy. But whatever. So he says, Mendel, how could I live myself? I told him, you know how to live it yourself? Now listen to this, Rabbi Say. It's kedai to hear it. And the Torah starts off with, Havi Oz Kanomer. The first, Rabbi Yehuda ben Taimah, Havi Oz Kanomer. Be tough like a lion. Oz means Az's ponim. Like a leopard. To do the Ratzon Hashem. That starts with that. Rav Shulchan Aruch starts with that Torah. What's going on? You have to be like a leopard, a treifa animal. Reb Nosson brings you Yerushalmi. Anyone can find it. I'd appreciate it. I still haven't found it, but it's a shame that there's a lion and a tiger fighting with each other, a lion and a leopard. And the leopard wins, even though he's weaker, because he's a mamza. He's a cross between a lion and a tiger, so his bones are weak. But because he's such an azis ponim, and he feels like he looks like he owns the world, even though the lion is really stronger, but he's the bigger mechutzav of the two. In midas azis ponim, the leopard is better. In being strong, the lion is bigger. But in being an azis ponim, a mechutzav, a dalgeya, and being a dalgeya, the leopard is the number one man. So guess who wins? The leopard wins. The lion runs away. It's a hafli. Rav Nosson used to say this over a lot. It's very important. You don't have to be the biggest. You just have to have that. So I told the guy,
Yeah, and then I didn't have to show. We said over this thing.
He said this over. Chase away the lion. Now, why does the Heilige Shulchan Aruch start off with a mamza? A leopard's a mamza, you know that? He's a cross between a lion. He's not normal. He's a tzadrei tabriya. A lion would be bad enough. He's tamei. But a lion has a certain dignity. A leopard is off the wall. First, you're not even strong. You're just a big shot. You just think you own the world when you really don't, because the lion's really better than you. But I made so nothing. He said, Galinsky said this, you say, that you have to be. So I told the guy, you're no good. But it's taking Shulchan Aruch. The mamzel Let's take it over the show. So a bomb, a zero. Move on and do what you have to do. Don't be nispo. So I'm not the tzaddik ador. So what? Don't look for trouble, Hashem Yerachem. But it's a good thing. Sometimes it comes in handy to a lot of people. Some no good. Rav Kanarig Zatzal, a bacha was having a rifyon and learning. So he felt he's out of it. He's not only, whatever he wasn't. He was a rifyon b'chlal. I don't know what so he says, Chazal Zogin. Halavai yaisi azuv v'tzayrasi shamaru. So you're not the tzaddik, but this what you're supposed to be. Just learn. Don't worry. Keep learning and don't look, but I did this wrong, that wrong. Danish can come. Keep moving and don't be in a spole. Rav Sheimer used to tell everybody, keep smiling and keep going. Just move on. Don't be in a spole. Get weiter. So I'm not so good. I'm good. I'm bad. I'm terrible. Anyway, so back to Goliath. What did Goliath do? Goliath, what did he do? He went ahead and he said, what did David took a stone and the way his verbal abuse, he put Goliath in a garbage can. He looked at him like a paper tiger. He told him a Pamali, in my books you're not worth nothing. Imagine the ozah that David HaMelech had to this giant. You're not scared? You know what this fellow could do to you? He says, I'm going to take you and the birds. Anybody have a Tanakh? It's okay. The birds will be eating your flesh. All right? Or the animals, they'll finish you off. You're not worth a dime by me. And he was never in a battle before. The chutzpah. David HaMelech had an Esav streak to him. Shenemal. He was Admaini. And Shmuel Hanavi took one look at him. He says, this can't be a Melech. I see the redness. See, David HaMelech. He had a Yitzhahara, he had guns fine. We don't understand, but he knew how to channel it. And he used it. Goliath, watch, I got a tough streak. I'm using it on you. That's where it belongs. When he came back home, David HaMelech turned into an Edelkeit. They stepped all over him. And he wouldn't open his mouth. Heilige, David HaMelech. He had his midas. He was a Navardika, as you know. And David HaMelech was one of the first Talmidei Navardik. That's why David ain't Kleinigkeit. Atob, all his enemies, he loved his enemies. No, how do you do that? He really did. He wasn't playing games. Because he was above. A Melech is above. It didn't kick in. This guy hurt me. He called me this. Leave me alone with that stuff. I'm here to serve Hashem. I'm my Kas level. But so she's a Machshefa. My not so chashav Rebbe said, I'm not talking about mine. I'm talking about, let's say, she's a this, she's a that, or my shvez, or my kid, or the boss that I work for. He's the guy in my life that's making me miserable. Don't Danish can cup. It's your own midas. You like to kvetch, so go kvetch. Now listen to this, Rabbi. I'm going to tell you half of it. Somebody calls me up and tells me, I've heard from this guy a few times. I heard from the guy, he told me that he either got corona or he got the flu, one of the two. But right after he did an Aveira, boom, he got it. And I deserve it. I heard this from many times. The guy keeps telling me. Now this guy happens to be a very, very big Adam Choshev. There's a big Bal Yisurim also, but he's a big Adam Choshev. And he's more than other people. But he fell. I mean, he fell and wasn't so, whatever. Nobody's perfect. And he says, I deserve what I got. I says, don't you dare say that. He says, why not? You're not allowed to say that. It's Osa. But I saw it. Right after I did the Aveira, I got punished. The Eibishter gave me what? No, you're not allowed to say that. Why not? I'll tell you why. You're a big Oved Hashem. You know that. And you've been super good. Better than others. Much better. Did you ever feel that maybe you deserve something for that? That's not on your, you're not into that stuff. Deserving something good trying or for being misgaber on certain yetzaharas, that doesn't mean nothing to you. Never did you give yourself a pat on the back because I'm good, that's why this is good, that's good. This I didn't tell the guy, but I'm wondering, maybe that's why he has so many yisurim. I'll tell you what I mean. You know that the Mezrich Shemagit says that if a person is involved in din, he invites more din. You're getting involved, well, you know, when you do an Aveira, you're against the Yerei Shemayim, the Aveira, I got a punishment. When you do a mitzvah, why aren't you getting happy? Oh, Tzaddikim says you get 1,000 times more schar when you have a simcha shel mitzvah. That's why people aren't good at that. When they daven a mincha or a ma'ir, it doesn't mean nothing. Or you learn a halba blot, a halba dos. Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't really finish the Yomid properly. That's all you think about. You should be dancing for every word. It's Labotka, the Alta Zol Shmuz. How I have to make a whole bracha on one pasuk. Okay, that's Musa, it's not. So when you do something bad, then you point. Yeah, see? I got punished. When you do something good, it's nothing. So it's an interesting religion you have. You're totally negative. Like, the positive stuff you do is, no. I could be better. Someone just told this to me recently. He's a Gevaldige Bal Maila. And I told him, you have this Maila. He says, well, that I got from my parents. My parents. So he's upgefragt. People are so good at throwing themselves in the garbage can. They're experts at it. That's my parents. It's not really me. Or I have a good nature. I don't deserve, getting cast. That's my teva. They're so good at turning themselves into zero. So that's my raya, that's the truth. The truth is what you have to work on. To build yourself up is much harder. And that's why it's the truth. Being positive is the truth. I just got a call from somebody in Europe. And he told me his peckle. He's got pecklach over there. And he told me the lockdowns are making them crazy in different places. You know what I told him? He says, you got to be positive. And I started with my stuff. He says, don't worry, I know you're ready. I'm listening to you a half a year. I says, no. He says, my whole life has turned around completely. My whole family, they're happy people. It's a different world. Yeah. Stick to this. More and more positive. Don't be in a spoil. There's a neighbor there. Don't worry. He'll take care of you. There's always, anyway. So this is what I told to this guy. Now I'm going to tell you what happened to me last night. They asked me to speak in Borough Park. Came down to Borough Park and I spoke. I took along, there's somebody there who helps me very much in my Bטחון weeklies. He's a tzaddik. What he does for me, it's not shaykh. And he needs money because he wants to get 80,000 of my alonim all over the world now. He's working on it. He already has 10,000 a week. Now he wants and he needs $1,400. And he said, how do I get the money? The last time he called me, I says, don't worry, they're going to run after you. The next day, some guy started running after him. I want to give you 1,000. So far, the Rebbe's Meifsim are going strong. So this time, again, what do we do now? So I told him, all right, so we left it. So last night, I gave him $1,000 check because I had been given by a meifis. The last round, someone comes over to me, boom, 1,000, wow. And I need this to pay for my Bטחון weekly. I'm desperate. And also have to pay my kodelim. They're on my case all over. And I need my 1,000. And I figured this Yid did me a favor. And he's doing so much for me. I need the money. I got 1,000 in my pocket. He's getting it. Friday, you got to pay. They're waiting for their money. That's it. I'm getting it. Hefke. In the body, they would call it hefkaters. It'd be hefke. So I gave him the 1,000. And I went back to Lakewood. And I say, now you're all messed up. How do you get 1,000? You get $1,000 grows on trees. As soon as I come home, I see in the kitchen, on the desk, on the table, $1,500 from nowhere. Who's that? Where'd this come from? So you see, the Eibishter wants to show me. When you do a mitzvah, I got to pay you for that. I got to tell you another myself.
Where'd it come from?
What? You're one of my Bali Meifas too. You once produced 1,400 for me, remember? This place is full of Malumad Benisim all over the place. So, somebody, I'm not even sure who, what. It's just here. I got my 1,000, that's all I know. Anyway. Maybe it's Manmin or Shemaim, I don't know. I got the 1,000, so it's on good. Anyway, listen to this. So, here's another mice that happens. Everybody. I'm a spal. I want to do more for the tzibur. Because I have a kayach, I have a chiyuv to do it. And by the way, I hope everybody has a major kayach. And I'm expecting, before, one of these days we're going to have, I won't be the only Rebbe around here. Anyway, so what happened? So what happened? So, L'Shem Shemayim, I had a reason why I davened in Coventry. I was Mashana, my normal thing, and I did it, L'Shem Shemayim. I did it because I had a reason. It wasn't easy for me. I did it also from a reason, not stop. As soon as I come to Coventry, first day I'm there. We need a speaker. I mean, I have a lech reid mentality. Reb Gershon taught me, lech reid, go, speak. Novandig is, they'll even speak. I once saw a Novandig get up. A Shleima figure, that's all, at a Levaya. And the Levaya is in the middle of moving, and suddenly he stops. He stops, and no one asked him to do anything, and he made a hesped. Right there, it was a good hesped too. And then I once saw Reb Chaim Halpern. I suspect no one ever told him to do it. To get up in front of a tzibur, like one of the biggest yeshivas around. And he got up and he spoke, The verdict is, if you don't ask me, I'll take care of that. I need to be asked. Well, they do these things. Of course, you have to watch what you're doing. You have to have a Reish Avad who makes sure you do things right. Whatever. But so I told myself, and now I have my 5-minute drushes. They like it better than my hour drushes because they end quicker. Like my 5-minute drushes. I'm told my 5-minute drushes are not shaykh. So this is going on for weeks and weeks already because I did something with Shem Shemayim. And on the spot, they just paid me back. And last night, on the spot, I got $1,500. Yeah, it was tutzach. I also did something else. Somebody's nudging me. I have Kailim, where I pay $50 a month for Bachrim for learning Musar and Bטחון, and $100 a month for Yingalite. Because one of the Bachrim Kailos on my case, making me sugar. And I promised them, you'll have it, But you don't have any money. What are you promising him for? You'll have it. And sure enough, that extra $500. Anyway, I have to thank the Eibishter. Well, what do I want to bring out? When something good happens, when you're getting schars, report it, think about it, talk about it, make a spiel about it. When something goes wrong, don't make, I got an einish, I got a din, I'm getting punished now for this. People, they make themselves a moat. I tell this to a lot of people. It works wonders to the guys who believe me. My best customers are the ones who don't know me. I'm on a telephone call, and they think I'm who knows who. And whatever I say is Teres Lakshmi Sinai. You want to know how many mice I have over the phone? I wonder if they knew me, if I get that much mileage. They'll see I'm just a bus of a dumb. On the telephone, they think, between me and a malach, it's not too far away. I'm on the phone, and I sound, whatever. Anyway, I'm up here, people on the phone. It works. Nisim Galuyim. I have stories. Don't ask. I have families turning inside out. I'll tell you one of my great stories, recent stories. For some reason, I don't get bezyanis. You know, Chafetz Chaim used to say he doesn't really get B'zayinus. He said, that's what they say. And I love him and I love him, whatever it is. But anyway, I don't get B'zayinus. I get plenty of covet. I have Bizdu. I'm drowning in covet. So, what happened? I got, from a certain area, I smelled some bittul. I'm not as batting 1,000 as I say I am. Somebody once gave a remark. I felt a little bit like, I'm not the Rashka Bahag. I'm not quite as great as I say myself. Most people agree with me that I'm Givaldic. That's the feeling I get. Why should I say different? Let me live in my dimion. Let me enjoy my happy dimion for the rest of my life. Why not? It's more pleasant like that. And but this particular party, listen to this nice. They call me up. The husband calls me up. Shem Yerachim, what's going on there? He has splitting. He has headaches. He has kids. I says, I'm taking care of the whole business. Watch this. There was a mapesa. And overnight, I gave a bracha. He was cured. The kids were cured. It wasn't normal. It was a big fish. Like in my, I don't get these things so fast. Guess what I did? As soon as I got off the phone, I says, Shalom. His headache disappeared on the spot. It'll come out on the spot. And it's permanent. It's gone. I says, Babysted, these guys don't really hold for me too much. Show them who I am. How do you like that one? It worked. I do that. I say open. I talk with the apes. I think who said this? Cheskel Abramsky said, me and the apes are like this. That's what he said. He said, I'm with the apes still like. I say it's not the first time. Another time I was davening for somebody, nothing was happening. And then he says, Mandel, nothing happened with your big brachas you gave me. I says, okay, just 1 second. I turned around and said, Eibishter, till now, it was a Yid's problem. Right now, I got a problem too. Right now, it's covered. I have a covered issue. Can you help me out? I promise you it's a true story. I called him up that night, Gansi Yeshua. You show Hashem you mean business. You get it. Covered means business. Is that something? I don't know what he said.
Rabbi, you said before that the person shouldn't say that Amish comes to him, Hashem visited me because I didn't avail.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I have this in my davening. But Tasadik Kol Ba'aleinu, Sabbath on everything that comes out to me. He MS Sisa, nothing here Shaman. So how do you?
Yeah.
I know you shouldn't.
Listen to me. You answered everything. You said that. Keep saying it. It's fine. As long as you don't chaz it out all day long. Just say it. It's true. But don't leave in that sugya. David HaMelech said, V'chatasi kenegdi summit. What? Oh. There you go. Very good. So, there you go. So the David HaMelech Grada did say V'chatasi kenegdi summit. But David HaMelech on his regular schedule, besides learning like Gan Eden learning, he woke up with a harp. His alarm clock was a kinar with a ruch. Explain us what kind of ruch. He woke up. He woke up with simcha to shemayim. What is learning, the simcha of his learning, and half a night he was singing. That's his regular schedule. He was like, not stam, you got to sing once in a while. That's me. Chazal say, David HaMelech was created from all the music under the Kisei HaKavod. That he was composed of all that music. That was David. He's a shtick music. David HaMelech. So when you're a shtick music, you can also say, you can egg these summit. It's not going to kill you. You're shtick music. But we have to work on being a little bit more musical. Anyway. Okay, now. Do you know that the Torah sticks up for the Nebuchadnezzar? There's no end to that stuff. All over the place. משפטים, אמונה וגר. It's not an amona. Rashi says any guy that goes around feeling tzklap. How would you feel? An amona, I have seen people like that getting unusual siyata d'shmaya. I know certain families, they're never. Somebody was nifted there, and the kids, they get married before everyone else. I've seen a lot of that stuff. There's a certain siyata d'shmaya when somebody's at Tzabrochen Akeli. Most people, so Rashi says, lav dafkan amon miyosim. It could be anybody who says Tzabrochen. And in our dar, it's becheskas. The average guy is becheskas, Tzabrochen Akeli. Becheskas. He probably feels like, including all those guys you're jealous of. Some of them are worse. I once had to speak at a simcha of somebody that I held this guy has everything. He does. The world is very, very makana him. He has everything you want. He is the biggest tzaddik, the biggest, whatever you want. He's got it all. He's one of those. Everyone's makana him. They talk about him, the nachas he has, and unusual. He himself is an olam choshev ma'od, a talmid chacham, a sweetie, a this, a that. He's got it all. He picks the best Adamus in the yeshiva and gets them all, and everyone loves him, and everyone this. Yidel Mendel, he had a simcha in the family, and Yidel Mendel is asked to speak. So I spoke to one of my big Novandig Rabbeim, and I asked him, I'm supposed to speak with you. There's nothing, I mean, this man's got it all. I mean, I got to stop buttering him up. He doesn't need chizik. You know what he told me? It's a lie. He needs just like everybody else. You know why? He doesn't focus on what he has. He does. He tries. He says how much nachas he has. He'll do that. But deep inside, he's eating himself up for the one thing that he doesn't have. Whatever it is. Everybody goes around. You know, I once saw Lavdal. Most of us are living in a state of quiet desperation. That Goyim say that. Most of us are living in a state of quiet desperation. We're all living with, if only. You know, you meet people. What's the guy all about? He's a pickle. You meet the guy. What's going on? Well, it's my son that's really, he has 10 other mitziyonim. He doesn't even talk about them. Beryl is not holding, he's making us all sugar and shine. Or it's my wife, or it's my panusa, or it's all of them together. Or it's this, the shviga, or it's my averis. You got to be careful with averis. I want you to know that people take averis. I would very much like to go to war against averis. That's on my agenda, big time. I want to get together and go to hold milchama. You'll be so much happier. People are looking for simcha, so they do averis, So they think that's going to give them simcha. They have not tasted what it's like to get involved in avodas Hashem the way you're supposed to. Oh, would they be dancing? What's his name? Pinchas Menachem Malach Zatzal. He was a Novandig Gera. And his son was maspedim. And his son is a Gera Chassid. And he said, I asked my father, how come the Novandigs don't get involved in Kedusha issues? Why don't you know that? My Ger, Kedusha is a big thing. How come the Novandigs are not involved in that? You know what he said? He said this for Rambam. He said, if you would know the way we learned Musa, with such a geschmack, you would, when you were finished with a Musa Seder in Novandig, there's no room in your head for that stuff. You can't even dream of it. You're on a different planet. You hear what's going on? That's what I want to bring back. When you're on fire, you're in a different bria. Lahavl. The Novandig is like the big businessmen. They modeled after them. A big businessman, a friend of mine once met one, a millionaire. He says, he asked him, how much you sleep? He says 7 hours. 7 hours? Yeah, you eat 3 square meals a day with plenty of snacks in the middle. He says, you're wasting your life. You don't need more than 3-4 hours sleep a night. He said, what do you mean? But you need it. He says, you're not making millions of dollars. I'm making millions of dollars. I'm in a different world. I'm motivated. I'm alive. I'm moving. Who has time for eating and sleeping? We're moving. You become a different person when you have a certain drive. They say the happiest people in the world are the people that go out for Klal Yisrael. I know somebody, the kids were in my class. They're not so far from here. And the kids are so young. It's a bracha. Parents are super happy people. When you go out for Klal Yisrael, people need you. They run over to you. You're a different breed. I saw a younger man here in Lakewood. He was a tzabach guy. He had issues. He had a good reason for it. He had his younger years, this and that. He had a whole. I met him years later. He moved out of Lakewood and he got a job. A new person. Why? Because everyone's running over to him for eitzes. So instead of him asking other people for eitzes, they're asking him. It's instant turnaround. The whole Metzias turns around. We just want to be Ma'ida. You never know. We may move on this a little bit and try to. The more you can do for the public, and don't be in a spoil. Keep davening. You can be zeicha to anything you want. Okay, now Yetzias Mitzrayim. Wherever you turn, you have Yetzias Mitzrayim, Yetzias Mitzrayim, Yetzias Mitzrayim, Yetzias Mitzrayim, Yetzias Mitzrayim. You wake up in the morning, Yetzias Mitzrayim. Emes v'yatziv, Emes v'amuna, Ezras in Kelm. They went crazy over Ezras. And we say, look at those at your davening. Open a chumash. Every parsha. Don't stop with that. משפטים also has Yetzias Mitzrayim in there. Wherever you turn, you make Kiddush, Rosh Hashanah, Yetzias Mitzrayim. What's going on here? We get hit all over the place. Yetzias Mitzrayim, Yetzias Mitzrayim, Yetzias Mitzrayim. We're supposed to remember Yetzias Mitzrayim. Now, if a person spends his life recalling all his Ferikain, I know people like this. I know somebody who is going through a level of disaster. Every time I meet the guy, he repeats the same stories that happened to him when he was a kid. How this one shepherded him, and that guy hurt him, and this guy this, and that guy that. That's all the guy talks about. It sits on him. And he doesn't move. He has a dysfunctional matzah because he's heavily involved in what he's missing and what things going wrong. If a person, those people, the Welt says that the riches of a thankful heart gets the riches of the universe. That's what the Goyim say is. People who are really thankful, they get everything. You got to change your mode and only talk happy stuff. I want to tell you what just happened to me. I walked into the Rebbe's room. I'm a Rebbe. And when there's recess, the Rebbes sit together in the room, if you're not on duty. And we schmooze around. I come in, I start boasting about, you know what I'm doing, and I'm speaking here, and B'tachon weekly is moving here, I'm doing gewaldig. The guys were nice. Oh, yes, it's so nice. You're doing that so much. When I finished my big drasha, I said, by the way, there's another side of my life, too. You know that? Yeah. And you're not going to hear about it. My wife is not going to hear about it. No one's going to hear about it. But when I need chizuk, I go and make sure to talk about all my successes until I get the yesh li koil mode. Yaakov Avinu said, I got it all. Esav said, yesh li rov. I got a lot, but it's not enough. Yaakov said, yesh li koil. I got it all. When I'm in a bad pickle, when something did bother me, whatever happened. you just ignore it like it didn't happen and recall all the good stuff going in your life and make believe it's not there. And you know what? Ami v'yozl means? What's the lashon of Gemara? What? Ami v'yozl. Boom. It disappears. At least from your mind and very, very often from the metzias. If you don't address your peklach, you do that with your physical problems. I just heard this guy calls me today. I didn't know I was such a balmifus. Guy told me today, Mendel. And you know how people forget positive things? They forget them. Every time I got to tell a mifus, I think, I'm not that good anymore. You know the negatives on your case, day and night, whatever you do. Yeah, yesterday I was a good guy. Today it's not the same anymore. We're all like that. The Yitzhak to pull you down is so strong. Go to war only against him. Mainly against him. Okay, and be an action yatzliach. But you did this, yeah, give me that Yitzhak. The real Yitzhak is putting yourself down. That's the worst. No matter what. I'm a tzaddik yesayda, and this guy just told it to me today. I was sitting there. Did I really make that mifus? I had a few such cases where people told me, a guy called me up about something. The whole family turned around. I says, wow, who was that? He says, it was your bracha. Oh, really? It was me? I promise you, it's a true story. Someone right in the Vad told me. But this today, just the kid was born, and the doctor said the kid is Down syndrome. There's something wrong with this kid. He's not going to be a normal kid. And this guy called me up, and granted, he worked for Bטחון Weekly. I'm joking. I'm not joking. It's true. But I told him, Lahadam! The kid's perfect. But Kachav, the kid is more than perfect. He's the Mitsuyan godly. He's already like, this happened 15 years ago. He's a normal. So I said, B'shas, I do this all the time, by the way. I come out, don't even ask details. You got a problem? Come to me. It's nothing. I once saw Rav Shimry do that. I had trouble with an ankle. He had an accident with his teeth, whatever. So Zigit, speak positive, say it, shout. When you feel negative, scream louder to drown out all those negative voices. Even louder, or what the one said. When you're wrong in an argument, scream louder. Since you're wrong, go to other and scream. I see my Rabbim do this. So my wife knows the old news. Whenever I come home and I tell my wife, oh, I had such a good day today. What went wrong today? Come on, what's the truth? She knows me. That is the situation. When I need a plug, I scream. Oh, I'm doing great. What do you bother me? I'm a Muslim. You know what happens to you after a while? You'll become devoid of issues. If you have any, you just won't feel them. I want to tell you how dangerous issues are. Keep away issues, connection. I know a guy, he's having a lot of hatzlacha with his kid. He has a kid who sits all day and he looks at the parents don't want to see. When a kid sits 24/7 like this, and and he's in and out of school more out than in, one of those, and he sleeps, or does he sleep? He's one of those. You know what they did? They don't fetch. Come out, not even to the Eibishter. The kid, father not. You know what they told the kid? You're a Matsuyan. The kid says, I'll cut it out. And the kid, what do you mean? We paskin. The kid will not hear a negative word about himself. Never! You're fine. When the parents daven, the mother davens, she says, Eibishter, thank you for giving me such a masmid. Even to the Eibishter. Thank you for giving, she's pushing in the sun. Once in a while she fetches a little bit. Says, Eibishter, let's have a break. The kid is turning around every day. Mitamol, he's opening the Gemara. Mitamol, he's doing this. You keep it up. Actually, I say, now I got to tell you, Maisa, this guy had trouble and family problems. He had a brother-in-law that drove him up a wall. He had a sister-in-law that was a little sedate. And he had this and that. Alligat, the Zachan, his mother, his sister, his this, they made him a sugar. And there was one family member that really hurt him. And he was in tsar. He was sensitive. Tsar. Kim taran, Rabbi Sai. We have new vodka, cold brew, coffee flavored vodka. Anybody interested? Have some coffee flavor. For those that, aren't Jack, we finished off a Jack. Listen to this. What? Baruch atah Adonai. Eli Hedem al Chaylam. Shahak Eli Medvari. Lehaim. Lehaim. Amen. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. Whoever listens to me should have Yeshua's Gemuras. And call me up to tell me I was right. So, what was I saying? My pleasure. My pleasure. So anyway, oops. So what happened? This guy's davening. This is a true story. I've said it before. It's kedai to chazah the story. It's mighty dik in the belt. This guy was davening and crying to the Eibush. He felt so good about himself. And crying. Bayu l'ratzon. He's davening. He says, "Oh, Eibush, it's too much. What my brother-in-law is making him so." He gave me the Yarden and he has no derech eretz for me and I'm older than him and I feel I'm disliked and my wife and she doesn't and this one. Then he poured his heart and he felt like he's a real keben lefnei aviv. He felt himself pouring my heart out to the Eibush. This is the way to do things. He's crying his heart out about Nebuchadnezzar's pekel. It's a true story. As soon as he started twitching about his brother-in-law, his nose started bleeding. From nowhere. He had and bleeding. He quickly go like this, and he kept holding it, and he kept kvetching and kvetching. While he's holding his nose, he kept kvetching about his brother-in-law, and his nose, kvetching. So finally he said, "Let me stop kvetching. I promise you it's a true story." He stopped. Maybe the Eibush doesn't like this kvetcherai. He stopped kvetching. Abruptly, the blood disappeared. Kalai haya. It's a true story. Got the message? But I'm talking my heart out to the Eibush. You want to talk your heart out to the Eibush? Tell him how happy you are that you're alive. Tell him how happy you are to be a little Nisayan. It's not going to kill you. Tell him how happy you are. Say something nice. Kvetching. He took it to him. It's a story. What do you say to that one? No kvetching. No more of that stuff. Rabbi Miller says, better a positive lie than a negative truth. And don't worry about Averis. Just don't do them, Hashem Yerachim. You don't know what Averis. I want to get together. If we had a club, in the Vardigas, when they did a mitzvah, they made a party. When they went against the Midas, they made a party. They were happy. Rav Weinkreen says he was happy for 24 hours when he did a pool against his Ratzin. He conquered his Yetzirah and did Paket. 24 hours, that's such simcha. See, we don't have enough simcha. We need more simcha. We do have enough. We're fine. None of that garbage. We're fine, but we'll try to get even better. And 20, you did a simcha, such simcha, you went against him. They used to report to the Reish Havad whenever they went against that Teva. They told the Reish Havad. And the Reish Havad was part of it. No, that's enough. The whole world has to hear. Someday they're working on myself. Breaking in me, this is Gan Eden. It is Gan Eden. You don't know the pleasure. I tell you Oz Yashir. Right after you say some time, Oz Yashir. You say it every day. What's Oz Yashir? You got to sing against a nigger over there. You know, Sus v'roich v'irama v'ayam. How come Rashi says they're attached? Because when you're attached to Yetzirah and you can't let go, the sus is compared. And you can't let go, you end up sinking, Zayne gesund, Rama v'ayam. But you want to get out of them. Memta Shari Tuma was quite pleasant. It was a lot of fun what went on in Egypt. Kina Taiba covered. A lot of people, they want to be ready to cover their whole lives. They like it. They don't want to give it up. So, that's what it's in his Adam and Olam. So why is this Yoshua? You want to combat the thrill of Memta Shari Tuma? Sing and sing and sing and sing and sing and sing. And say, Zeh Keli Vanveu, make Hashem beautiful. Make it Geschmack. Ozi v'zimros ka, Hashem is my song. Make a Geschmack. Fire. When somebody's on fire, all his problems are gone. Like this, he's going to fight his Yetzer Hara. But if he's on fire, he's in a different world, like the big business. That's why I went to the time, Moshe Rabbeinu saw what's that H? And then Ukal with the snare. I want to tell you the snare is the Yetzer Hara. Is the Averis. Why is the fire burning? Why are we getting out of this mess? Dik is the Ruchnius. So, whatever, Hasina is like the fire. When you're on fire, you have a Ruach. So what do we do for fire? You have to sing and you have to dance. And I believe in learning Musa, Bטחון, that keeps me going. Learn a lot of Bטחון. If you had a chavrusa to talk about how you're advancing, how much you're holding more from, hey, write down. You want to give yourself some chiyas? You know how many people tell me they're too tired, too this? You know where it comes from? You know what my shvager, a matzel feder, once said, you know what makes you tired? Daigus all over your head. I'm tired. You know why you're tired? You worry 24/7. Fill yourself up all day with happy thoughts. Make believe. Dimyainais, they're not even true. Just say it. What do you care? I'm doing great. And watch the energy level stop moving upwards. That's where it comes from. It's all in the cup. You think negative, you get tired, you get sick, something. I don't feel good. You know, when people come to me with sicknesses, I tell them, who shepherded you just before the sickness? Who's been bothering you? You know that? It all comes to, did I speak enough today? We should be Zeicha B'Kol of Mamish, to the Gula Shlema, and this Purim we should be Zeicha to all the Gulas Hazman, Rosh Chodesh Adar. We'll go to war against the Yetzer Hara, we're going to win. You have to have B'Tachon Ruchnius. Simcha! What? Now, wait a minute, one second. What is no Simcha business? Try to be B'Simcha, and you're in. Try to fight Yetzer Hara. Stop. Count to 10 before you explode at your wife. And each number is a malach that's going to remember you forever. Because you counted to 10, and then go kill her. If you want to. I'm just kidding. Any ladies listening to this one? Now, I meant kill him. In the other stars, they have a different nusach. And kill him. And that's it. There's a home.